Decision 2025, California, Proposition 50. You guys have heard about it. You might not know too much about it. If you live here, you probably still don't know too much about it. Although you've been told how to vote, right? You've been told by your tribe the correct thing you need to do, right? Democrats rallying together, vote yes, stop Trump and his fascism, vote yes. And then you have the Republicans saying, stop this Newsom takeover of power. So both sides accusing the other side of power grabbing, right? And as we say here in the homeless left, outside of the tribes, they're both power grabbing. That's the point. They both do it. So what do we do if we're stuck here? If we're living in California, what do we do with that information? If we know that both Newsom and Trump are power grabbers and fuel money, upward transfers of wealth, and we lose funding, we lose money that was supposed to go somewhere and it goes somewhere else, and they benefit personally and their donor friends benefit personally every single time, however that looks. And if you can change the rules of an election, you will do it. And then you'll blame the other team for being the ones that are trying to do the corruption, but you're the good guy. Okay. So now we know both sides are corrupt. What do we do about it? Well, let's walk this through. Let's start with Newsom making his case. And if you're a Newsom fan, if you're here in California and you're a Newsom fan, you love these moments. These are moments that make you go like you're in the wrestling ring. This is WWE, right? This is the guy you cheer for. Trump's the guy you boo, okay? So let them have it, Newsom. Tell them why we got to get Trump with Prop 50.
Op-ed, have a candlelight visual, maybe do a rally. They poked the bear, and the bear is poking back, and we're going to get out there and win and send a powerful message, not only to the people of the state of California, but to people all over the United States of America by going out in record numbers. Yes, on 50. Thank you guys very much.
They poked the bear, and now we're going to poke back. Well, what does that mean? Why are we cheering that? What is that? I mean, what are you saying? We poke you poked the bear. Well, what's the poke? So the bear got poked. So we're the bear, right? The California bear. It's a nice little symbolism there. Newsom with the California bear. That's our mascot, I guess, for the state. So you poke the bear, we poke back. Well, what is this poking? What are we talking about? Okay, well, hold that thought. We're going to get back to the poking bear in a moment. But like clockwork, you understand that being here in LA, in California, you have A-list celebrities that sign on to this, and they go out to their millions of fans. If you add them up, I mean, we're not going to get out a calculator on this, but you guys can understand that if you add up these celebrities that are pushing California voters right now to show up and vote yes, don't really read it. Just know that by voting yes, you're stopping this bear poke. We got poked and we're going to poke back. Okay. Again, we'll break that down soon, but here's just an example. This is Billie Eilish. Now, this is somebody, I pulled this one out because we know that she's been actively pro-Palestine. So she's had a history of being, a real activist. But in this case, this is just top-down instructions to her fans.
And I am asking for your help. If you live in California, like me, please vote yes on Prop 50 on or before November 4th. It is so unbelievably important. And if you need any help voting, you can go to vote.ca.gov. It's so important. Vote yes on Prop 50. Thank you.
Now, is Billie Eilish going to tell us anything specific about it? Of course she won't. And I'm not ragging on her. Like, really, you understand, like, there's certain things that you don't really take the time to look at, and you just assume that if you can prove that Trump is a power grabber and Newsom tells you this, then voting for something to fight back against Trump makes sense in your brain. If you're aligned with that tribe, then you're not going to actually look at the thing. So let's do this right now. let's connect this to where this actually started from, and where Prop 50 came from. We'll start from the beginning. It came from Texas. Did you guys know that? Let's look at this. Let's look at Texas. Okay. So Trump's power grab started in Texas when he was able, and the Guardian put this out, I think today or yesterday. So Prop 50, as the Guardian tells us, it's Californians are voting on redistricting to counter redrawn Texas map. So the Texas maps that have been redrawn, because Trump was able to maneuver in there and create 5 new seats that would help take Houston, who is, as we know, historically a democratic city, take these particular districts, redistrict them, change up the numbers, do a little math trick. And you guys know how math tricks are. You're going to move stuff around and change statistics by moving stuff around. You come up with 5 new seats, therefore making these districts that have historically been Democratic are now Republican. And there's 5 new seats that were created out of thin air. That's the thing Trump got away with in Texas. So what is the response? This is the poking the bear. This is what you poke us, we poke you back. So this is what Billie Eilish is telling you to do. This is what all the celebrities are telling their followers to do, is we poke Trump right back. And we do the same thing here. So the ballot measure would let legislature redraw congressional districts to carve out how many? 5 more Democratic seats. The exact number that Trump came out of thin air in Texas to do. So we counter it with 5 of our own. You're going to do it. We're going to do it. So Morgan J. Freeman says, Trump and his corrupt GOP redistrict Texas to steal 5 House seats from Democrats without a vote. In response, California is putting redistricting on the ballot and letting the people decide. Well, that's democracy. Now, Morgan J. Freeman has no idea that he's telling us that Trump's going to do something bad and not tell the voter. We're going to do something bad and also not tell the voter, but make them think that they're voting for something good. So we're actually going to do worse. We're going to trick them into voting against their own interest. That's what Morgan J. Freeman is telling us. Do you guys see that? Do you see that? He's saying, how effed up is it that Texas got away with adding 5 seats and the voters had no say in it? Well, F that. What we're going to do here, we're going to add 5 new seats that shouldn't be there. By the way, none of these seats should be there. This is manipulation of maps. Okay? Manipulation of people and populations and locations. Manipulation. We're going to do what they did in Texas, but we're going to let the voter decide. What do you mean you're going to let them decide? The voter doesn't know what's going on. You're tricking them. So it's kind of worse. You're tricking them into poisoning themselves rather than Trump poisoning people on their own. So Texas voters get stabbed in the back. California voters get handed the knife and are told, stab yourself in the chest. So we're better than Texas because the voters are deciding for themselves to stab themselves in the chest. That's what's going on here. We'll do a little breakdown on what actually what actually is happening with Prop 50. And again, it's the same as what's happened in Texas already. And the fear is that some people think that, well, maybe this is just temporary. Maybe this is just a temporary thing. It's just a response to Trump in Texas. So we're just gonna do it temporarily here, and then everything's gonna go back to normal. Come on. It never goes back to normal. You guys should know that by now. Here we go.
Accurate summary would say that this initiative tears up the map that was drawn by our Independent Citizens Commission and replaces it with one drawn by politicians. And it overturns our constitutional ban on gerrymandering and instead institutes one of the most gerrymandered maps in modern history. Princeton University's gerrymander project called this map one of the 2 worst gerrymanders in the last 50 years. They gave the map an F grade. So that's why they don't have the map actually there for you to see on the ballot, because then you're like, wow, this is a pretty funny shape for this district. What's going on?
So there's no map on the ballot. Why is that? They got plenty of room for other stuff. They have plenty of room for blank spaces. Why wouldn't they put the map? Well, we can't confuse voters with maps. Well, you confuse them with words. We know how that works. We know how that works every election. You guys know going into the voting booth every election. You guys know the words are there to confuse you. The verbiage is there to confuse you. So no, they don't want us to see the map. Go on
here, and people would reject it out of hand. Instead, they just give you this sort of, adenine summary, like, oh, temporary maps are coming in, without telling you that these were maps that were drawn behind closed doors by politicians specifically to serve their own interests.
Yeah, and you mentioned the word temporary because there's also questions if this is obviously going to go away. It's going to be a permanent feature. What initiatives are out there to potentially prevent that? Is this a one-time deal?
Yeah, so I find it very, very hard to believe that if this new map that the politicians have drawn in order to benefit themselves, if it does get adopted, that they're going to simply, throw it out the window in a few years. Nothing is really temporary when it comes to the self-interest of politicians. So I think that if this does pass, it would be very difficult for California to return to a system of fair representation. And so that temporary word, I think, is very misleading at the very least.
Yeah. There it is. Now, look, we have Republicans that are against Trump, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, famously, ex-governor of California, famously against Trump, like adamantly against Trump, has come out and said, this is wrong. This is wrong. You poke the bear, we don't poke the bear back. That was more Russian than Austrian. So that's important, right? That we understand not to have Trump derangement syndrome just because you don't like the guy. And you can independently not like the guy and know that this is wrong. That's the point. So here's what if the ballot was meant to be honest to the voter, this is how it would read. And we saw this. I don't know who put this together, but it was going around Twitter this morning. And I just think you guys should see, this is what it would look like if you walked into a voting booth on a Tuesday on voting day, which should be a holiday, but this should be a holiday, by the way, right? This should be a holiday. Today should be a holiday. All right, but that's another discussion. This is what your ballot would look like if they honestly wanted us to know what we were voting for, how we were going to be stabbing ourselves in our own chest. 50 replaces map drawn by voter-approved independent citizens commission with map drawn by Sacramento politicians. That's very accurate. That's very accurate. Unemotional too, by the way. That's like an AI grok answer, right? Overturns constitutional ban on gerrymandering and adopts most gerrymandered congressional map in modern U.S. history. Well, also I would say tied with Texas, because it literally is trying to tie and, even it out, right? Eye for an eye. That's what we're doing here. Eye for an eye. There's your yes bubble, and there's your no bubble. And we at the Homeless Left, we don't want to tell you how to vote. You got to decide for yourself. And by the way, there's something very noble in staying home. That's also very noble. And we didn't used to think that. I've been educated in that area, and I've changed my mind into thinking, we can tell you guys to show up and do protest votes and write things in when you can. And we certainly vote no on this one. But staying home is also an option. We like that too. We You like that one too. That's a good one. That's it. That's a good one.